When we work with a client that has multiple family members, what's the most common mistake that we see?
Boy, I would say it concerns roles. Sometimes larger families will elect someone to kind of be in charge. And then we've worked with families that were so large, they really needed their own committee. Kyle, you remember we worked with a 19-member family?
Yeah. So, I mean, in that case, there were tenants in common, TIC group, and they had the TIC committee. They had, I think, 3 or 4 family members who represented the different factions within the family and tried to bring all the opinions to the table. And I think they ended up feeling good about how it went and that everyone felt like they were represented and, spoken for, which is difficult with 19 members of the family all having different interests.
Well, that's an extreme example. Can you speak to more commonly when you have 2, 3, 4, 5 family members?
Yeah. I mean, and so many of our clients are, what I call mom and pop, family investors. And whether that is a family who has passed down real estate for a generation or two, or a family that has taken what they've earned separately and pieced it together and invested together. It's so cool to see the dynamics and, how those groups work together. It's easier the less people there are. If there's 2 or 3 people, investing together, maybe they're both on the Zoom calls with us. Maybe they're both involved in the weekly or monthly meetings, but they need to be on the same page. That is the key. Whether it's 2, 3, 4 people, sometimes we'll work with families where one family member wants this to be done and the other wants that to be done, and they send separate emails and leave each other off. Everyone's got to be on the same email thread.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to be on the phone call.
Actually, something that I've seen you do in the past that really works well. You never have sidebars with different family members. If you send an email, everybody gets it at the same time. There's no advantage or disadvantage. And if I remember correctly, on the 19-member deal, the owner sent you a wine basket and a couple different Christmas gifts. It was like a 5-year ordeal.
I miss those wines.
You did a good job with them.
Something that's cool that I do see a lot is a family group that has different expertise with each family member. So sometimes you've got an accounting family member, a maintenance construction family member, and it really creates a good team to work with.
Yeah, I mean, if you can combine skill sets and actually work together, there are all these horror stories, all these examples of when it doesn't go well, but so many of our clients are families who have figured out how to work well together. Maybe they don't get along in every meeting, or maybe they have slight differences in opinion, but they've held real estate together, managed it well with our input and our help, and seen it increase in value over 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Agreed. Conversely, I remember a family came in, they had actually gone through a lawsuit against one another, and I think it was one of the brothers was kind of sanctioned and set off to the side. And I forget the exact structure. He was only allowed in on conversations that were $50,000 questions or greater, which meant and you had to juggle. And I think both you guys had visited the site a couple times, and that was a commercial deal. Is that right?
Who was that brother's attorney? I'm thinking about suing him.
Don't do that.
Very funny.
No, I think we bring that experience to the table, having worked together as family members. And believe it or not, there are 2 other Crown brothers not pictured here who have worked within the organization at different times. And we get along, but we understand families who need to figure out how to get along. I think that's a unique component of our growth over the past decade or so.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think the basics are making sure that everyone feels heard, that they're acknowledged with communication, always at the same time. I think something else that's important too when you're dealing with a big family or any group that has a couple different people is if you're in a meeting, sending an agenda the day before, letting people know what's going to be on the table, letting them prep. I see that people light up and get right down to it, I think, pretty quickly when you respect their time. I've seen in the past also where families aren't working really well together and it costs them. I know we all have.
Worst thing we see, and it does happen occasionally, is family conflicts that bleed into the financial performance of a building, of a property. We have seen extreme examples where family members will sue each other and they'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a lawsuit to settle something that probably could have been mediated or could have been hashed out, where cooler heads prevail earlier on. We would always hope and recommend and really foster a spirit of getting along and working through it. Family members can have disagreements, but coming to some sort of a compromise as early on as possible is what helps drive the performance of the property in the right direction.
We saw a family actually have to forfeit a building and sell to cover legal expenses against one another.
They sold the property to pay the legal fees that they incurred in a lawsuit against each other. And that is something we want to help our clients avoid. And again, I think that what we can help with is not mediating, but facilitating, bringing our clients to the table together and helping give advice on what we see as the best way forward in a way that drives a compromise between them.
I agree. And that's an example of where our role isn't just managing vacancies and maintenance. It's making the family feel heard and at the end of the day, be stronger. Because the most important job when it's a large family like that is keeping the family together.
It's worth saying, most of the families we work with work really well together and don't need any help from us in getting along.
True. So we had one family where one of the family members, senior family member, consistently showing up late to the Zooms and would always ask us to restate everything. And I could see there was a little tension amongst the family. And I think it was one of you guys that reached out and said, is there a better time for you? And they got the message. And after that, it was smooth sailing.
Just politely asking that everyone respect each other's time, and that way, no double work. So what would you say something that we do is that really helps bring family members together or improve how their working relationships may go?
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes it's easier for family members to hear things from us rather than other family members. And it may mean something different to them. We can be the bad guys or we can be the good guys, just depending on the situation. It's just always different when you hear from someone that isn't your family member. Dad, remember when you told me to put my elbow up when I was swinging the bat?
And you didn't listen?
Right. Until the coach told me, put your elbow up when you're swinging the bat.
That's true.
Sometimes that's how it goes. We briefly touched on differing roles within a family and kind of defining those. Sometimes that happens naturally. Can you expand a little bit more on that?
So I think we have examples of where that works best. We have a family who we have worked with for, 12 years now. And it goes really well. They get along, they work well off each other, they have different specialties. One of them focuses on the maintenance, really the dollars, and she understands more context in the history with the tenants. Whereas the younger generation, newer family member to the business, but she really understands lease negotiations, the market as it is now, and how to find and place good new tenants with us for their buildings.
Sounds like they stay in their lane. Is that what you're saying? Or?
Yeah, I mean, hey, sometimes they have to come together and figure something out that maybe isn't as perfectly black and white, well-defined. But
yeah,
usually if it's leasing, it's one person. If it's maintenance, it's another. And they respect each other's expertise.
That works. I can see it. Yeah. There's another family that comes to mind too, where I think one of the family members, super strong persona, very decisive, and the family was fine with it. So this person definitely stepped into a leadership role. And again, as you talked about earlier, Kyle, people wanted to be heard. That was critical, but she had good judgment. And at the end of the day, they were all on the same page because of her. If I remember, her job was teaching people how to communicate and make sure the right decisions were arrived at.
So I think what you're saying is maybe it's not a pure democracy, but it's also not a dictatorship.
Depends on the group dynamic. And Sometimes they'll float and shift around. I think there were one or two, this was a big group, one or two people that were basically underneath her and kept her in check. So if I can say that, that might get edited. That's okay.
Yeah. So there's no right way or one way to do this. It works in a variety of different ways. Is what I'm hearing.
Going to depend on the family members, and the buildings, the properties at stake. Sometimes a group knows how to handle commercial real estate, but not residential multifamily, or vice versa.
Right. That's a great point. Yeah. And that's where I can think of some of the different people on staff where they'll jump into a meeting and be able to know exactly where they'll be kind of out of their element and help and support and give direction. That can be important. You don't want to school the client, but in the same breath, you can support them.
I think some of the more difficult situations we've handled are clients or families where one family member has maybe more tenure or experience in self-managing the property, and we come in as a third party and then become, for better or for worse, we're the new sheriff in town, and just making sure that everyone gets a say, everyone gets to contribute and still be part of the asset management, of their portfolio, while leaving the property management and the less fun day-to-day to us. That's our job.
That's true. And sometimes there are situations where some family member has been at the helm, usually not getting paid extra, and it can be a little bit of a difficult transition for them to now be on a committee where everybody has an equal vote. But that's kind of parcel with managing families.